There we go.
Have you ever decided to quit something because it was too hard and you were so frustrated that you were having a hard time learning it that you just gave up? Well, if you did, and I bet you did, because I think we've all done this at some point in our life, then you are in the right place. Because today, Deb and I are talking about learning genius, and we are going to talk about the 4 steps to mastery as well as understanding behavior change. And so, why is this important? Well, if you can master learning, then everything that you're learning today and what you learn on mastering will empower you in every aspect of your life. It will help you with skills, making other skills become easier for you. And it will help you to, when you're seeking out new things to learn, and you might even overtake others who have a higher IQ. So, this stuff is really important. And I have to say, in my life, um, I've learned a lot about this, and this is a um, something that we learned in our EMF that really resonated with me because there's times when you do think that you're not good enough, and you quit things before you even get started and all this stuff. And what I found, I kind of got this thing going in my head. So I'll talk about a specific thing. My kids are dancers and they learned how to pose and take pictures and be poised and all this stuff. Well, I never learned that skill. And so we'd be taking pictures and they all look so beautiful and they just naturally pose, and I look like a klutz in the pictures. And I never liked my pictures. And so I remember being with my daughter in a restaurant, and this is like my youngest daughter, and we were sitting at the table, we're talking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not very good at taking pictures. And I get this, Mom, stop with the negative self talk. And at that point in my life, I actually had resigned myself to the fact that some people are just better at things than other people are. And, we're kind of in a category where, yeah, I'm not good at that, or I'm not good at this thing. And I am good at some things, but that's not something I'm good at. And I took it more as it was an innate thing in us, not that I just didn't take the time to learn it. And so this whole module on learning genius really helped me turn it around. And it, if you think about it, we're all born as geniuses. We all have it in us. It's just that maybe I didn't spend the time to learn it and somebody else is a master at it. And so this is the the frameworks that we're going to talk about really help us to understand that yes, we can do it, but we have to take the time to learn it. And you can't come in at the expert. You need to go through all of the steps to get there. And so this is very empowering. Stay tuned, because we're going to give you some real good information that you can kind of use as a baseline and keep you grounded whenever you are learning something new. That's my story, Deb. Over
I
to
love it.
you.
I love it, Debbie. My favorite thing that you said there, though, was you thought that um, people had innate skills, and that's why they were so excellent at things that maybe you weren't, and that you just resigned yourself to accept that. And I think that's a misconception a lot of us have, is that like, oh, they're born with a natural talent for this. And it's true, some people might be born with a tendency to be better at something. But absolutely, if we dedicate the time and make the commitment to create the changes, and it's important to us, we can also become experts in just about anything. Even if some of us might have to work harder, but my favorite quote about that, because I'm going to share it because I absolutely love that, is I think it's like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Like, let me see if I get that right.
It's exactly it.
But it's
I was
so
like,
freeing because you're just like, yes, I didn't have to be born um, naturally. I was going to say a natural dancer or whatever, because I actually really enjoy dance. People who are expert dancers, though, didn't just walk out on the floor one day and voila, like a fabulous dance. No, they practice and learn, you know.
it's
So,
years and years of practice to get to that level. Can I
right?
tell you another story though? This is
Yes, yes.
this is kind of on the same thing, and I probably would have told it a little later, but I think it fits in really well right here. Is one of the I always think of the fastest man in the world, and I think at the moment the world record is with Usain Bolt from Jamaica, and so this is for running the 100 meter. 100 meter, well, we used to call it dash, but do the 100 meters. And the record time is, I think, pretty close to 9 seconds. And so you think 9 seconds, that's not very long. I mean, we've been talking way longer than 9 seconds by now. But you think of how much time and energy he had to put into everything he did to get to that point of being able to be the fastest man, only to show his craft to the world for 9 seconds. And
Right,
I know because I've seen documentaries and stuff, there's a lot of hard work and sweat and tears and time that went into being able to run that 9 seconds. And
right,
it just blows my mind because it's just 9 seconds. That's
right,
it. 9 seconds on stage and many, many years off stage just for that.
right.
Yeah.
That's true. That is dedication. And that's the kind of dedication that when something is important to us, that's the commitment, the dedication that we'll make to pursue something.
Yeah.
So I love that. And the other cool thing about him was that nobody thought it was possible until he did it. So there's so many lessons in great um, performers, right? People that do these things leave so many lessons for us. So
Sure.
awesome. Um, my story is just kind of like the thing that I learned and how understanding how we learn and why we quit and why we stop. Um, like learning all of those things and then learning to mastering things. My motto to myself is learn, do, be. So if I decide that I want to learn a skill or I need to learn a skill or I just want to learn a skill, I recognize that first I have to learn it, then I have to do it and do it and do it and practice, and then I become what it is I wanted to become. So, even with my dancing, and I'll use that because it really is a passion and fun outlet for me, but it's something that I like to learn and then I do and I practice. And there's so many different forms of dance that I might be really good at one type of dance. So, like, I'm really good at country line dancing, but not every dance because there are a lot of them. And then there's swing dance, but there's East Coast and West Coast. And I'm pretty good at East Coast, but I'm not so great at West Coast. So I have to keep practicing. And then until I become a West Coast swinger. And I mean that as the dance. So,
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
so that's my lesson. We're learning how to learn and what all this means for any area of our life. So I'm
Very
excited to be
good.
here tonight to share with everyone these tools that we've learned.
Yeah, they are. So the mastery, what is mastery, right? And when it comes to learning, there are 4 steps. Well, it's basically a framework that we learned. And, this framework is something that you can apply. So a framework will help us to actually be able to put into perspective what we're learning, and we can use it. So this framework to learning actually has 4 steps. And it starts off in unconscious incompetence, which means that you don't know what you don't know. And then you move to conscious incompetence. So now I want to learn how to dance. And I'm like, now I start looking into it and I start learning, oh, yeah, there's tons of different kinds of dance. There's line dance, there's East Coast, West Coast swing, there's ballroom, and never mind ballroom. Ballroom has a whole ton of different things within it. And then there's jazz and tap and ballet. And I mean, just understanding in ballet on its own, turnout and your arms and all that stuff. It's like so much. Now I know what I don't know and I'm overwhelmed. So that's conscious incompetence. Now we're aware of what we don't know. And so then once we start doing it, we go into what's called conscious competence. So now we've been doing it for a while. Like you said, we're kind of learning and learning and learning. And so now we actually can do it, but we've got to think about it, right? When we're doing it, we really are thinking about it. And then when you get to real mastery and you know it, this is where you can do it with a blindfold on. This is where you're unconsciously competent. You know it inside and out. You don't even have to think about it. It's just there. You just do it. And so then at that point, I can dance like anywhere I want, or I guess I have to pick my genre, but at least I can dance. And if we think about it kind of like a tree, because I love the metaphor of a field. So I want to try another metaphor of a tree and a seed. So when you have a seed, this is, where you start and you grow the seed into a little sapling and then into a tree. And this is kind of represents going from that unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and then when you actually have the whole tree, you are unconsciously competent. Hope that makes sense. But when we're doing this, we have to, we're definitely going to get frustrated. And believe it or not, when do most people quit? They actually quit at conscious incompetence. So just at the point where they are almost competent at what they're doing, they quit. And that is usually because they're frustrated and they probably have this thing going in their head. I know I would have it, that the fear that I'm not good enough. And it's so easy to happen because, we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to, I don't want to look stupid. I would say I had the fear of looking stupid in front of everyone. And I used to have that when I was a kid. So a lot of times now we're going to be frustrated and we're going to then say to ourselves, we're not good enough. And then we quit. The sad thing about it is when you're frustrated is actually when you are in the best learning. And that is when your brain is producing what's called myelin. And myelin is like the insulation for the brain signals, that are going through, the neuro signals that are going through. And when you produce myelin, all of the sudden with that myelin, those brain signals can go at 10x what they could go at before you produced all that myelin. And what we do is we quit just before all that myelin comes in. And we're just at edge of moving to the next step and we quit. And that's where most people quit. And if you want to know Albert Einstein, one of the smartest men known in the in history, he did not. I've heard he had the biggest brain, but the truth is he did not have a big brain. His brain was probably a little below average, but he had the most myelin because he never let go of a problem. He always wanted to see it. So all that myelin meant that Albert Einstein had a lot of frustration when he was working on those problems that he was trying to solve, and all that genius. And so the thing is, frustration is actually the engine that will power you to mastery. And I'm going to have a quote here that I found that I really like, that the most inspiring person is the one who overcomes the fear of doing something, not the person who's excellent at it. And I could maybe have my other example, which is Ed Sheeran, who is a very popular singer from the UK. And if he was interviewed by Howard Stern, and Howard Stern just assumed that he was always a good singer. And Ed Sheeran said to him, "Are you kidding me? I was terrible." And he actually played his first song that he did, which was when he was 14. And he could not hold a note for love nor money. But the thing is, he kept with it and with it and with it and didn't stop and didn't quit. And 4 years later, look what happened. His singing took off. And so we all have the genius in us to do it. It's a matter of, are you going to quit or not? And so for me, I think of this 4 steps to mastery when I'm doing something new, and I'm doing a lot of new things these days. And I think I just have to keep going. I've got to build that myelin. I have to get through the frustration. And at the other end, I will have the rewards. So don't quit.
Right.
Don't worry about the fear of not being good enough, because you are good enough. You just have to go through all these steps. It's part of life.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
So awesome, Deb. I love the way you covered all the 4 steps. And yeah, it's there's also a part of us that our mind will try to talk us out of learning the new things because we're just so okay and comfortable where we are. So it will help us come up with all sorts of excuses why we don't need to do this really. You were just doing that for fun anyways. There's no point. So yeah.
Sure.
Which is going to tie into kind of what I would like to talk about tonight, and that is understanding the behavior to create lasting change. And it's going to tie right in there because ultimately, the reason why you decide to do something, whether it be for fun or for financial gain or for better relationships or whatever it is that you're going to do, your reason, if it's strong enough, is going to be what gets you through that frustration, and you're going to stick with it. So having a really powerful reason to do the thing will get you through the frustration, but you'll still get the benefit of the frustration. So it all works together. It's all working so that we can learn new things and be better, right? So learn, do, be, everybody. So I kind of had the same thing. Like, have you ever thought to yourself, I want to be healthier. I want to be stronger. I want to be better at whatever it is, right? Dancing, singing, playing the guitar, cooking healthy food. Exactly, right? All of those things. But, like at first you might be like, okay, yeah, I think I'd like to eat healthier, right? I guess I'll just add some more vegetables. Ew, but I'm cooking these vegetables and it's boring and I don't like it. Right? Or I'm dancing, but I feel so silly. And I can't dance with anyone else because then they'll know that I'm not good at this, right? But if you can start and push through all those feelings of, forget it, this is pointless, I'm not meant to do this, I'm not good enough, or I didn't really need to do that anyways, I'm healthy enough, my dancing's all right, right?
Sit on the sidelines.
Right, you could just stay on the sideline doing your own little thing, right? Or you can decide that it's important enough and you really, really want to make the change, right? So you'll go from, so first you're going to have to learn what it is that you don't know, right? In cooking, it might be, well, does it matter which foods I'm eating, which vegetables I'm eating? How am I going to get the proper nutrients in my body, right? And you might not even be aware of that. You're just like, as long as I'm eating something, I'm good. But there are things to learn about that. And so you have to seek the information. Then you're going to have to start doing it. You're going to have to start cooking it. And eventually, after a couple months or whatever of cooking those fresh foods and making the healthy combinations, whatever that may be, because I do not know all those answers, but I know that Debbie does. That's her area of expertise. So I am lucky because I can um, go to her and ask, hey, what should I do here? Because I'm feeling this, I'm not feeling great here and there. How can I, you know, make a better choice for myself? So I can learn and then I can start doing it. And then in a couple months, somebody else could come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about eating better. What do you suggest? And I can say, oh, here's a list of things that I've been doing and I feel great. And same for other people if they want to learn how to dance because I've mastered it. I used to be afraid. Now somebody could ask me like, hey, I kind of want to do this dancing thing, but I don't even know where to start. And I can kind of guide them through some of those first steps. So the first thing you have to do is know that there's something you don't know. Get the information, right? I call step one, know to grow. So you have to know what it is you're going to do. And you have to know deep down why you want to do this. Like eating a plant-based diet or a healthier diet at all. For most of us, I would think we would like maybe you're not feeling as well as you would like to. You don't have the energy, you don't have the stamina, you don't, whatever it is, like maybe your nails are brittle or your hair is, dry and stuff like that. So, okay, your nutrition is affecting your whole body. All right, so that might be why you want to eat better. So I have more energy, so I can go all day, so I can go to work, come home, play with my kids, and then take care of some other things, right? I don't want to feel exhausted. Why might you want to dance? Okay, well, that just might be to create better relationships so that when I go out, I can participate with other people. I can be more social because I feel confident that I can just join a crowd of people and enjoy myself. So there's lots of different reasons. And depending on how powerful that thought is for you is going to determine if you stick with it. So step one, know to grow. Know what you don't know. Start learning what it is you don't know. Step two, I call the heart wants what the heart wants. So now you know what you want to do, you know why. And if it truly is something that in your heart you want to do and your reason is strong enough, you're going to start acting in ways that prove to your mind that it's important. And your mind is going to do its job and it's going to say, oh, wait, I'm learning something new, right? And when you do it repetitively, it says, oh, not only did I learn something new, but this is important because we keep doing this every day or every week, or it's consistent. So you get through the frustration, your myelin starts, right? Now it's speedy, speedy learning. And your brain also is going to hold on to it because it says, this is important to us. We do want this. And so that puts your heart and your mind together. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I also find that when your heart and your mind are really in sync, like you're doing something and it just feels so good, like just all around feels good. It puts you in a good mood. You feel happy thinking about going to do it. You're enjoying it while you're doing it. And when you're done, you're just like, that was amazing, right? When you're doing those things, learning the skills is easier. So that congruency between your heart and mind, step 2, the heart wants what the heart wants, and it does, but you do it smartly. But if it's in congruency, your mind will get on board and it will happen faster and easier for you. And step 3 is what I call know thyself. And this is basically kind of what I just said. If you're going to know when you're doing something, whether it puts you in a better mood, is it uplifting? Does it just feel good? Or is it like trudging through mud? Now,
That's not
part,
good.
right. It's not, right? It's like you're dragging yourself. You're making yourself do it. Now, there's kind of 2 parts to that because, like you said, Debbie, earlier, when you decide you want to do something new and you start learning it, you're going to hit the frustration level. And that might feel like you're trudging through mud, right? But I'm talking about the trudging through mud that says it feels icky, like it just doesn't even feel right. Like, why am I doing this? And I'm trying to think of an example of that, like maybe
Well, I think that
like
when you're that kind of stuff is usually when you're doing it because of somebody else wanted you to do that. Like going to, I don't know, going to school to become something because your mom wants you to. And that's not really in your heart, but you're doing it because your mom or your parents want you to. And
exactly.
it's
Thank
like,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
right. Like doing things to please other people.
yeah,
It's not going to feel very good. And so that's going to make it more difficult. But that's the kind of feeling that I'm talking about. So you have to start to learn to know yourself so that you're making sure you're not chasing things because it's what somebody else or something else says you should do, but because it's something that you know serves what you're seeking to do. Right? I
be,
hope that
your,
makes sense.
be yourself, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, be yourself. Like
Yeah,
there's always going to be times in our lives when we um, have to possibly do things that aren't um, I don't know what you want to say though, 'cause it's a slippery slope there. Like you may have to do some things that aren't your favorite thing until you get to do your favorite thing. I guess that's
yeah,
where I'm trying to go with that because you don't want to do things that go against your morals and your values, no matter where they take you.
of course not.
Like
Yeah,
you don't want to use those as stepping stones. You want to use things that align with your values, even though they might be a little icky at first. You know, like, hey,
yeah,
I don't like accounting, but if I'm going to start a business, I might have to start out doing my own accounting. Okay. That's
exactly.
different than saying, I'm starting a new business. I need to make some money fast, so I'm going to lie to make some sales. That's the difference of the icky feeling and the trudging through mud. Trudging through mud because I don't 100% know what I'm doing and this is hard, but it's going to get me where I want to go versus trudging through mud because it's icky. So, knowing yourself though, you're going to know why you're doing the thing that you're doing. You're going to make sure that your heart and your mind are aligned and that it's serving your better self. And you made a reference earlier, Debbie, to the tree. And I do love that reference, right? Like you just see a little sprout. And I wanted to say, kind of along that same line, is that like where you are today and when you start learning something, you don't want to, like, you wouldn't compare yourself. You don't want the oak tree to compare himself to a sprout. They're both valuable. They're both oak trees, but one is a sprouting oak tree and one is a well established oak tree. Just like for ourselves, like I wouldn't compare myself and look back at my 10-year-old self and be like, what an idiot. 10-year-old me was such an idiot, right? No, I will say 10-year-old me was 10-year-old me who had 10-year-old life experience, not 50 years of life experience. Obviously, if I went back with what I know now and went back to my 10-year-old self, I would make different decisions. But I can't blame the 10-year-old self. I can't be disappointed with my 10-year-old self. So wherever you are today, don't be disappointed with the person you were yesterday. Just know that the person of yesterday brought you here today, and that's all you can work with. It's like, let's start now. Let's start learning now. You had old tools, and now it might be time to update the tools, get new tools, sharpen the tools. But that's where all of this learning comes in. And that's how you start to change your habits or your skills permanently. And that's when you become a master. So when you talk about mastering things, you have to decide, one, what do you want to learn? What do you need? What do you want to learn? And oh my gosh, I got stuck in a cycle of what do you need to learn? What do you need to learn? And then just start learning. Then make sure your heart and your mind are aligned, and that you're doing things that are serving where you really want to go, and that your why is also aligned with who you truly are as a person. And then know yourself. And by following all of those, you'll get to that point of mastery faster than you thought. And once you have it mastered, it's a skill you would just have with you, and it would be like riding a bike.
Yeah.
So that's
You can't
pretty much
unlearn it.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I said you can't unlearn it.
Right, you can't unlearn those
You
things,
might be
right?
a little rusty, but you can't unlearn it.
Right, and it'll come back faster the next time.
Yep, for
So,
sure. Such
so
great, such great wisdom there.
right.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to learning how to learn, but once you understand all of it, I think that was like a big thing for me, was figuring out that, like, oh, this is why we stop. And because we get too frustrated and we just like, forget it, I can't do this. But accepting that we can is vital to just going and doing it. So, was there anything else that you wanted to add,
I
Debbie?
think we covered it all. And I think, yeah, for me, it's knowing this stuff, will just help to put into perspective, to keep going and not to
Right.
stop, especially if it's something that well, of course, if it's something that you want to do. And those things that are hard, like you said, that feel like you're going through the mud, if your why is big enough, because when you're running a 9-second race, and you look at the fact that you spent 10 hours a day in the gym and on the track running over and over and over again, just by yourself or with a training partner, that's going to feel like you're going through the mud sometimes. But if your why
Yes,
is big enough, you can do it. So yeah, great stuff.
absolutely. Love it. All right. So basically, Debbie and I would like to invite you, like, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about maybe how to decide maybe what some of your goals could be, or maybe taking the first steps, you are always welcome to call us and schedule a discovery call where we just kind of just talk through some of this stuff, what's holding us back and where we want to go. And I would like some comments, if you're watching this, on kind of like, what about your identity, that doing part of you, feels strong? Like, I do this because I am a dancer. I do this because I am vegetarian. Or I do this, like, what are you really, really solid about? Like, you had to learn something and now you know that you're really solid on it. And maybe share an area that maybe could use a boost or a change. And what could you do to start doing that today? Because I would like to see that, like, we're thinking a little bit about this for everybody, that you guys are thinking about it. And I guess I would just like to close with a reminder that Debbie and I are still looking for a couple people to join our first beta cohort, where we will facilitate people going through this 6-month journey of the Elite Mentorship Forum. And it helps in all areas of life: health, wealth, relationships. So I thank everyone for being here tonight. watched, whether you're watching live or you're going to watch us later. I hope you got some good tidbits here, and just hope we all just keep on learning.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye
Thanks,
now.
guys. Bye.